The Los Angeles Lakers played their first Summer League game in Las Vegas against the Phoenix Suns, and it did not go as planned. It was in a blowout loss pretty much a majority of the game, and it just did not look very good. I mean, they weren't the team we saw prior in the Summer League. They were kind of all over the place, kind of just not hitting shots, turning the ball over, just not looking very good. Granted, they're young. It's Summer League. We understand how this thing works. But outside of two players, which we'll dive into here in a moment, no one really is standing out. No one's really looking majorly impressive. I mean, Bass looks like he's NBA ready, but he's a 27-year-old who should be dominating out there on the floor. And then Jay Huff, 24 years old. He's a guy that has impressed so far, but it's hurt him not being on the court and things like that. But draft pick is, struggling. He's hurting. It's not looking too good for him. Defensively, there is a lot of promise. He's doing well on closeouts, things like that, his rotation, stuff like that. But it was a rough game overall. Like, if we're being honest, it was not the game that you wanted to see this team come out and play. But nonetheless, it happened. But as far as our standouts go, Cole Swider continues to impress. I mean, he's still looking like a guy that could, be a valuable asset on this roster, whether it's, a two-way deal and he's just going back and forth, or they actually sign him to the roster. Either way, I think he's a guy that the Lakers definitely need to look at. He's really looked solid so far during Summer League. He's been one of the definitive standouts. He's been one of the guys that have really, just looked nice. And is a guy that I think could really, really make an impact. Him and Jay Huff, although we haven't seen them in the last two games with health and safety protocol, they are the two that I think the Lakers really need to look at to be on this roster. I just think that they would fill a need. Unless, of course, if we get the Kyrie deal and we get, a Joe Harris, or, we end up trading for like a Buddy Hield, something like that, then yeah, I think that changes things. But like, as the roster currently stands, I think bringing in Cole Swider, I think, would be a benefit to the Lakers. He's a guy, he's not going to play a ton of minutes, but if he's a guy that can come in and make an impact in like 10 minutes or whatever, and, maybe knock down a couple threes, because he's going to get wide open shots. Even if we get Kyrie Irving and say we can't make a deal for like a Buddy Hield or Eric Gordon, then bring him in. Why not give him a shot? Because he's going to get so much just easy opportunities that if he can just be consistent, that is a huge benefit. He doesn't need to be a guy that has to be a star. He doesn't need to be a guy that has to, do too much. Just come in, let Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis just kind of, set you up and, get to your spots and draw the attention and just knock down the open shot. If he's a guy that can hit 2 or 3 threes every night in and night out, I think he's a guy that's worth it. He's already the best three-point shooter the Lakers would have on the team, just based on what we've seen, because everybody is sub 35%. Now, granted, I do think a lot of those guys will improve because you're on a team with LeBron. Even if we don't get Kyrie, LeBron, Westbrook, Anthony Davis, these guys are going to get more open looks than they have ever gotten in their career. So, of course, that would likely bring their three-point percentage up pretty heavily. But the last standout is Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie Pippen Jr. continues to impress, continues to look solid. He scored 19 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, and had 3 steals. And he just, again, I keep saying this, but he does. He reminds me so much of Trey Jones. Like, he just seems like that guy that could be a backup, that could come in, be solid for us. He's a guy that I think could, play some solid minutes. The only issue that I have is that we have a lot of guards. So I don't think it's going to happen this year, if I'm being honest. I think that very likely he will be on a 2-way contract. He'll kind of float back and forth. Hopefully they give him some burn. Hopefully they give him some real opportunity. But I think that he's a guy that could make an impact. I think he looks like a guy that looks like he belongs, if I'm being honest. He looks like a guy that can come in, give you some quality minutes off the bench. He does have turnover-nitis, where he kind of gets a little careless at times, but that comes with youth and experience, stuff like that. I think, especially during the regular season, let him get some burn, let him make his mistakes, things like that. especially if it's games where you're up 20 in the fourth quarter, let him come in and kind of facilitate, run the offense, things like that. I could see him being in various spurts. And I just look at Tyus Jones and I look at him and I just think that like they just have so much comparison. Like the way that they operate, the way that they play, the way that even the shots and stuff are just very similar. And Scottie Pippen Jr. I think has been a real standout so far for this Laker team, and I'm curious to see if he continues that. And maybe he can earn himself a spot. I don't think it would hurt to have him as like your 15th guy off the bench, especially on a two-way deal. Buyout market comes. Maybe if you could pick somebody up good, you kind of drop them down. But I'm not opposed to giving him some burn. Let him work out his kinks, stuff like that. Let him get some experience. Let him get some run, and see what we can do. Especially if we end up trading THT and Kendrick Nunn, right? Like then at that point we would probably need a guard. Like let's say we do the Kyrie trade and the reports of the Lakers going after Buddy Hield, and you do Winning Gabriel, THT and Kendrick Nunn for him. You just unloaded two guards. Buddy Hield is a guard, but he could also play the wing. He's just going to be a three-point specialist. It'd be nice to have a guy that could play as your backup guard in certain spots or like your third point guard off the bench. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What did you think of today's game in the Summer League? Did you like it? Did you not? How did you feel? What do you think of Cole Swider and Scottie Pippen Jr.? Do you think, they look like real standouts? Like, the Lakers should give them some burn, give them a shot. Like, let's see what they can do on this team, on this roster. You're not expecting them to make a big impact. If they do, then that's just an added bonus. But, bring them in, see how they do, see how they operate. Maybe give them an opportunity to at least compete for a spot. I think that they're good enough to, I think you at least let them run with the guys you already got and say, hey, earn it. And see what they do. If they earn it, they earn it. If not, you still got them on a two-way. You're fine. It's not a big deal. Max Christie, he hasn't looked too good. But again, he's 19. They drafted him for his upside. They drafted him for a guy that has potential, and you can see it. You see the potential in spots. He just needs to let the game come to him more. But Scottie Pippen, Cole Swider, and Jay Huff, I think, are my standout so far. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.